Okay, hello, here we are again in your next video, and today we're talking about something very, very important going into your functional medicine detox, and that is getting yourself gradually off of caffeine. And why is this important? If we are using caffeine during the functional medicine detox, that is going to inhibit the liver from doing its job properly. So if you want the best results, getting off of caffeine is highly recommended, but we don't want to do that immediately before the detox. We want to do this a little bit before, say, 7 days. Now, if you could do this 30 days prior to the detox, that would be fantastic. Now, if you're like myself and like I used to be, I relied heavily on caffeine on a daily basis for my energy in the morning, to wake myself up. These were things that I was telling myself that I needed to be able to function during a day. How many times have you heard somebody say, I cannot function without my morning coffee or caffeine or Red Bull or whatever they're using for that boost? And I did an experiment for myself, and this was years ago. I weaned myself off of caffeine for 30 days because I felt as though I was being using caffeine in excess. And actually, my oldest son had called me out on it because he wanted to, um, drink coffee or energy drinks, and he saw the amount of coffee that I was drinking, and he was like, "Dad, what are you doing? You're telling me not to have caffeine, and look what you're doing." So I experimented with weaning myself off of caffeine for 30 days. And then when I went back to drinking caffeine after those 30 days, well, first of all, at the end of the 30 days, I felt amazing. And then I went back to drinking not even close to the amount of coffee that I was drinking before, and found that I no longer enjoyed the way it made me feel. Yet without it, I had the energy that I was looking for anyway. So if we are going to do this detox, and if you're going to put the time in to go through this process of a 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox, you and I both want you to get the most results and sustainable results on the other side of this, whether that's on day 8, whether it's day 15 or day 22. We want these results to be profound and give you energy and to be sustainable. So in order to do that, we want to come off of caffeine gradually, because if we do that abruptly, especially right before the detox, like if you're just going to stop caffeine the day before the detox, you're in for a miserable experience on days 1 and day 2, because you're going to have lots of reactions and withdrawal symptoms from not having that supplement or that drug in you. That's right. Caffeine is both a supplement and a drug. So we want to come off of that gradually, and I'm going to tell you how to do that here. And also in your inbox, in your email, you're going to have a more detailed description of exactly how to do this process. And we make it very, very easy. So, caffeine is not an enemy. It's not horrible, but when we're drinking in excess of 200 milligrams of caffeine on a daily basis, and that's about what is in, a large or a grande coffee, whether you're getting that from, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, to name a few of, the big coffee stops that you're getting. But in excess, that's, just beyond what the body should be intaking. So, if we're going to use something that's healthy with caffeine, something along the lines of green tea that may only have about 50, maybe 75 milligrams of caffeine in it, that's a different story, because in the green tea, you're getting a lot of the phytonutrients and the antioxidants of the green tea, especially something like matcha, where it's whole leaf green tea. You're getting way more health benefits from that beverage than you would from a coffee from, your local coffee shop or your big chain coffee shop, we'll say. So green tea versus black tea, there's not as many health benefits for black tea, not that many whatsoever, but you do get caffeine in black tea, a higher level of caffeine. So, switching over to green tea, that's fine too. Most people are unaware of the health effects of caffeine and what that does. It makes a difference on how your body processes caffeine. So if you are a slow oxidizer versus a fast oxidizer, if you're on the slower end, it's going to take more time for your body to metabolize and process that caffeine out of your system. Now, caffeine has a shelf life of, or I should say a half-life, not a shelf life, a half-life of about 12 hours, depending on your metabolism, which means that that caffeine stays in your body for about 12 hours. So setting a caffeine curfew for yourself is definitely one of the first steps. And if you're going to go back to caffeine, that's beneficial. So a caffeine curfew of, say, noontime. Let's say the half-life of coffee, if you're a mixed oxidizer, is going to be somewhere around 9 p.m. when you're going to bed. You want to make sure that those caffeine molecules have been utilized in the body and processed so that they are not blocking the receptors that are actually looking for melatonin molecules to park in those receptors so that you can get a good night's sleep. So that's right, caffeine blocks melatonin and keeps us from having a good night's sleep. So some of the long-term effects of caffeine use, chronic caffeine use on a daily basis, are a weakened immune system, weakened digestion, a weakened endocrine system, right? Your endocrine system and all of your glands, those are going to be weakened as well. Higher blood pressure, higher cholesterol, may lead to early Alzheimer's and dementia symptoms. And it burns out the neurons and the synapses in the brain cells. So it also increases anxiety. I want to make sure I mention that. And it decreases libido. And that's something, because this is, I'll explain why in a moment. And it also disrupts sleep, after about noontime, like I said. So the way that caffeine can alter your libido, your desire and ability to reproduce, is because caffeine is a stimulant and it causes stress in the body. It causes the body to release epinephrine, adrenaline, norepinephrine, right? That's what gives you the energy, because the caffeine makes your adrenal glands go into hyperdrive, right? Go into the high alert mode where it's producing these adrenaline hormones. And that's what's giving you the energy. And then, of course, when those hormones subside, you end up with a crash. Well, the adrenaline, the norepinephrine, those trigger cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. And that stress hormone is going to signal the body that we are in fight or flight, right? That is activating the sympathetic nervous system. And that's not what we want. So when we are sympathetic nervous system dominant, our body is not in a mode of reproduction. So we're not going to be looking to become aroused and to reproduce. So that's where the libido gets shut down, is because of these stress hormones in the body. Those stress hormones can also cause, like I said, poor sleep. The both of those could cause weight gain and things like that. So coffee could certainly lead to weight gain as well. So these are a lot of the long-term effects of chronic caffeine usage. So the analogy that's really good to use is using caffeine every day is sort of like, whipping a tired horse. Though if you whip the tired horse, it's going to get up and it's going to go to work for you, even though it doesn't want to. So the caffeine is sort of the whip to the adrenals, and the caffeine is going to stimulate the adrenals to do this, but they were already fatigued. They're already tired. They are the tired horse, and they're not going to want to work more for you, and eventually they're just going to shut down and become weak, and that's going to weaken the immune system and things like that. So the process here on how to wean off caffeine, it's a 4-step process, and in a nutshell, we want to, if you're drinking coffee on a daily basis, you want to stay with the same size coffee to begin, because psychologically you're not going to see a change. However, you're going to change the blend of that coffee. If you're ordering it from, your local coffee shop, order it in a 70-30 mixture. So 70% caffeine, 30% decaf, and do that for a couple of days. And then after that, you want to go to a 50-50 mixture. So it's called the half calf. Full caffeine, fill the cup halfway with fully caffeinated coffee, and then half caffeinated coffee, and there's your half calf. So now you're within the first couple of days, you're getting 50% of the caffeine that you were. Your body's not going to react as abruptly because you're still getting some caffeine to satisfy that craving and that urge. Now, the next step is to reduce the size of the coffee. So now that we've reduced the amount of caffeine that we're intaking, we want to reduce the quantity of that. So when you go to the smaller size, let's say you're getting a large, now you're going to go to a medium, and you're still going to be doing 50-50. The next step is to go 30-70. So 30% caffeinated coffee in the cup, the medium-sized cup, and 70% decaffeinated. So now you've reduced the quantity that you're getting. You're also reducing the quantity of caffeine that you're getting. And then the next step is even a smaller size, to reduce the quantity, and you're still doing maybe 30-70 on your caffeine versus decaf. And then the last step is to go even to a smaller size and go all decaf, and then maybe toy with the idea of not finishing the coffees in step 3 and step 4. So, you may be getting a medium, but you're not going to quite finish that coffee. Although that might seem wasteful for you, this is all for a good purpose, to get your body used to not having caffeine in it. And then, of course, once, if you feel as though you still need coffee, there are things that you can do, such as only using decaffeinated coffee. If you're going to use decaffeinated coffee, I highly suggest using something that's organic and that's Swiss water processed decaffeinated. And because typically decaffeinated coffee, they use a derivative of petroleum products. So there's actually oil in your coffee when you're ordering a decaf, and we don't want that. But this is pre-detox, so all those chemicals will be detoxed out of your body regardless after the detox. But that's the step in a nutshell on how to get you off caffeine and why to wean off of caffeine prior to the detox. You certainly don't want a miserable experience going into days 1 and days 2 of your functional medicine detox, especially if this is your first time. So look in your inbox. You probably already have seen that email because that's how you found the link to this video. And that is the process for getting you off of caffeine. A very, very important step to prepare yourself for your functional medicine detox. And that's why we're talking about it roughly 6 to 7 days before you get started on your detoxification. We will see you tomorrow in our next video, and hopefully you found this helpful. And I'm looking forward to serving you and being your guide through this process. Bye-bye.